Guys, I think the hype train has fully taken off. If there's one thing that Bungie knows how to do, it's get people hyped. They've done it so many times in the past, and we would always say the same thing with every reveal. That essentially, if this expansion doesn't nail it, then Destiny 2 will die. And here I am. Once again, another annual expansion is about to be revealed to us next Tuesday, which by the way, we will be streaming over at Twitch that entire morning, and you will see it on my face. I'm either gonna be extremely happy and hyped, most likely slightly erect, or it's gonna be bad. And that's kind of what I wanted to focus on today. We have this thing that we do inside of Destiny's community where we begin to just get into this cycle of hype, which is good when the hype is met. But I have to paint the scenario of what if. What if Witch Queen, which everything has been leading up to this expansion. I know we may have said that before about Beyond Light or even Shadowkeep, but for various reasons, right? Shadowkeep, that was an expansion that many of us sat around wondering, can Bungie do it? Can they do this thing on their own? Beyond Light, with the engine upgrades, sunsetting, Europa, and new darkness subclasses, that was a lot to tackle all in one expansion, and I think many of us wondered, could Bungie pull this off? Witch Queen is different, because not only do you have extremely high expectations, but narratively, the highest of expectations are here. Savathun, who is the sister of Oryx, the main enemy of enemies, who has been manipulating things behind the scenes, who has literally turned Osiris into Sus Osiris, who has infected the tower. Even the likes of Shax is also infected. I know Oryx was the big baddie, but Savathun goes further in her art of warfare, in her deception, and she's a master at it. And we've been seeing this unfold for years now, literally years. So to say that a lot is riding on the narrative here is an understatement. Now, considering how good the narrative team has done over the past few seasons, I feel pretty confident that the narrative is going to be good. Although when it comes to annual expansions, my expectations are higher, considering the likes of Forsaken and Cade. This cutscene right here, where Cade is literally falling down in the prison, was trending the other day on TikTok, which I thought was hilarious. There were people in the comment sections asking what the hell that game was. Forsaken seized us on an emotional level because our favorite character, spoilers, died. Now, Bungie seems to be accepting the hype. They seem to be rolling with it. So much so that even though they delayed Witch Queen, they said it was delayed for good reason. But let me just go ahead and lay out what people expect. And we'll know for sure next Tuesday whether or not these expectations are met. Many in the Destiny community are expecting Witch Queen to narratively be the best it's ever been, considering the trajectory of the narrative pretty much over the past year. Secondly, people are expecting new subclasses, and a lot of people are speculating it's going to be a corruption-based subclass, similar to what we've seen with Necrotic Grips and Thorn. And by the way, QJ made a video on this. Very good layout of how he would structure a corruption class. My only concern is the time frame, because when we got new subclasses inside of Destiny 1, that was the Taken King, a year after the vanilla launch. And then we didn't get new subclasses until we moved from Destiny 1 to Destiny 2. And then in Destiny 2, you have vanilla launch, then Forsaken, which brought Chaos Reach, Code of the Missile, Nova Warp, Blade Barrage, Spectral Blades, all kinds of great subclasses, but they were still confined to that same subclass node that many of our light subclasses are confined to. But then you had Shadowkeep, which did bring a bunch of updates, but no new subclasses, and then Beyond Light. Now granted, Beyond Light only brought 3 subclasses: Behemoth, Shadebinder, and Revenant. Now, despite this only being 3 subclasses, don't kid yourself, there is way more depth in the stasis subclass trees in comparison to our light subclasses. Even though this may just be a single subclass, the variety that fragments and aspects offer pretty much gives you D1 vibes. Matter of fact, if you were to plot everything out, subclass to subclass, I would argue and say the amount of nodes that are available, especially after this season when we get more aspects and more fragments, would probably offer more options than in comparison to our light subclass trees did back in Destiny 1. The reason why I bring this up is normally Bungie does introduce new subclasses every other year. So my question to you, would Witch Queen be a failure in your eyes if it did not bring a new set of subclasses? Whoa, I know. You might as well kill the expansion right now, or so we think. Guys, I'm only bringing it up because I'm just pulling from previous data, and previous data shows us that we got new subclasses every other year. Vanilla D1, the Taken Forsaken King, Rise of Iron, Destiny 2 Vanilla, which pretty much started things over, Forsaken, Shadowkeep, Beyond Light, and now Witch Queen. There's a lot of moving parts going into this expansion, and I will personally be extremely let down. Like, if you come to the reveal next Tuesday while we're streaming it and we don't see any subclasses, your man will have it all on his face, as my soul would be crushed. And I didn't expect myself to be this hyped for Witch Queen. But I kind of blame Necrotic Grips, right? Like, when you saw Necrotic Grips, and QJ even pointed this out, when Necrotic Grips gets a kill on an enemy inside of Crucible, it shows that you died from corruption. And we know that corruption is pretty much the basis of Hive magic. All I'm trying to point to as the Vidoc reveal and Witch Queen expansion reveal, on top of like everything else that's coming next Tuesday, including the new season, the Trials of Osiris ranks, or whatever it's going to be called next season, Trials of Saint 14, amongst all those things, everyone is fully expecting new subclasses for Witch Queen. And I just want to temper expectations just a little bit. I'm guilty about it too, guys. I hype us too. I get hyped. Man, I love going into speculation land, and we can't. We talked about it last night on stream, and I loved it. The potential of a necromancy subclass or a corruption subclass. And by the way, someone even brought up that necromancy can actually tie into self-res. But listen, we're not even going to get into that. And before someone goes, no, Bungie's already said they're never going to bring back self-res. Dude, they said a lot of things. Bungie also said they were never going to bring back special weapons. And look at that. They also said they were never going to bring back the Stranger. And literally, we had an entire expansion revolving around the Stranger. The same thing with Galahorn inside of D1. They ended up giving us Galahorn again in Rise of Iron. All I'm trying to point out to is, don't believe everything Bungie says. Like, really. Not that they're liars. They're just a really big company with a lot of ideas flying around. Someone out there felt like the Stranger needed her narrative elaborated on. There was also someone who didn't agree that Nova Warp wasn't exactly IP defining, and now it's looking to be one of the best subclasses going into the next season. All I'm saying is, never say never when it comes to things inside of Destiny 2. With that being said though, the reveal will be next week. And at this point, we're just speculating about speculation. No, I did not get any information right now based on data leaks. I really hope that the next expansion is everything we want it to be. But I simply just wanted to make today's video to temper those expectations. And considering the light subclass buffs that are coming next season, fellas, those light subclass changes are no small thing. Those changes to all those subclasses, including exotics, and this week, we're supposed to be getting all the buffs and nerfs coming to exotic weapons. This is not something that a couple guys on the Sandbox team pulled together. The whole squad was probably working on this. And considering the back-to-back subclass changes to stasis over pretty much this entire year, through the various nerfs to individual fragments and aspects, as well as these subclasses from a foundational standpoint, it makes me wonder who the hell is left on the Sandbox team that's working on upcoming new darkness subclasses, whatever they may be. And considering that we know that a portion of the team is working on a new IP. Look, all I'm saying is that going into next week's expansion reveal, to just be ready. I am hopeful and optimistic that it's gonna blow our mind and it will be the best expansion ever, considering how much has been hyping up Witch Queen over the years. But considering previous data, there's a possibility we don't get new subclasses. Fellas and ladies, thank you all for coming and watching, and as always,
slap that like button like your mama told you right.